G'day, gorgeous people. Today I'm going to talk about Rush, Conquest, and some tips for Battlefield 1. So we're going to quickly go over the way that the game modes work, and then cover some basic tips for the modes and in general. I won't be talking about weapon choice or recoil management or any of that other good stuff, as I'll wait for the full game to be released, as things will likely change. If you're going to find this video helpful, a like would be greatly appreciated, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button for more Battlefield content. But with that out of the way, let's get started. Okay, so first let's talk about Rush. The attacking team is tasked with arming and destroying 2 telegraphs in each section of the map, so that they can progress to the final section where arming and destroying the final 2 telegraphs will win them the match. Clearly, the defending team's objective is to stop them from doing this by reducing their team's tickets to 0 by getting kills, or by holding them back until the game timer reaches 0. Rush can be very difficult for a team of solo players to win while attacking, so my hope is that I can give you some tips that will improve your chances of winning. First off, we should talk about team composition. Having a team with good composition is quite important in any Battlefield game mode, but I feel that it's more important in Rush as it's harder to avoid certain situations in Rush. If you come up against a tank defending in Conquest, you can simply avoid it, if you aren't playing as Assault, that is. If you are in Rush, however, you are forced to attack that point that he's defending, so assaulters are very, very important in that instance. In this way, every kit is very important. You need medics for heals and clutch revives, supports are extremely helpful for restocking and suppression, and snipers are able to provide an overwatch on telegraphs, which allows them to back people up while they're arming the telegraph and take people out that are disarming the telegraph. Now, although I can't suggest a perfect team composition as you have no control over what your team chooses as their class, I can tell you that when you realize that your team is struggling in a certain area, it's important that you switch kits and help deal with that situation. If a tank's giving you troubles, spawners assault and help take it out. Snipers picking everyone off as they cross an open section of the map, spawners a support for suppression or a sniper to counter snipe. Having said that, the medic class is probably the most versatile kit though, due to its ability to keep a push going with the use of meds and revives. So hopefully you get the point that I'm trying to make there, so let's move on. Cover is your friend. Use it where possible, especially when you're reloading. As you reload, back up into cover and keep yourself safe. Another good way to give you an extra bit of safety while you reload is to throw a nade, but that's very situational. When making pushes on a telegraph, make intelligent pushes. Group up with teammates and push together. Use your armor as cover wherever possible, and use the environmental cover to your advantage. Also, if you see a group of teammates pushing, support them however you can. Next up, map knowledge. Learn the enemy spawn points, popular sniping locations, good places to overwatch an armed telegraph, and popular routes of travel towards a telegraph. Knowing where to sit while waiting for a telegraph to explode and knowing where the enemy might spawn and run through will give you a huge advantage. Next, flank, flank, and flank again. Simple, got it? Another tip that is usually met with a bit of hate. If you are not proficient in a tank, don't get in it. It's often better in Rush to leave your limited vehicles for someone who is going to make a bigger impact in that vehicle. A lot of times matches are won or lost because of how good your tank driver or pilots are. Lastly, when with a group, don't all look the same way. If there are 5 of you all staring out the same window and you get flanked, you're stuffed. Be the person that watches the stairs or that other lane. You may not secure all the kills, but you may just keep your group alive long enough to make that final push and win the game. Okay, so let's talk about Conquest. Conquest gives you access to the whole map with up to 7 flag locations spread about. The game is won by reaching a score cap or by having a higher score when the match timer ends. The score is separate to your individual score, and points are acquired by capping and holding flags. The more flags you earn, the more points you'll earn. And when it comes to tips, everything that we've covered in Rush can be applied here, so we'll just cover a couple of different tips. First, take note of where the perimeter of the capture area for each flag is, which is marked by a white highlight on the map. Don't sit yourself right on the flag, find a good spot in the capture area and cover a direction that the enemy is more likely to be coming from. If there's 2 flags owned by your team to the left and 2 flags owned by the enemy to the right, clearly you want to be in cover that helps you defend a push from the right. Next, get yourself in a good active squad. You don't want to be in a squad full of camping snipers, as there more likely won't be a good spawn. You don't want to be wasting a lot of time running from objectives every time you spawn, or running from your sniper teammates halfway across the map. Next, in a different way to rush, you actually taking a vehicle that is just sitting in spawn can drastically help your team. Whether it be a horse or car to get you to a flag quicker, or a tank that provides cover for your team, drawing attention and packs that extra little bit of firepower in a fight, can help a lot. Next, choose to travel where your chosen weapon will give you an advantage. If you're a medic, maybe don't choose the path that's all close quarters. If you're an assaulter, don't run through that open field. Lastly, and what I've always deemed to be the most important simple tip for Conquest, is when you see a flag being capped by your enemy, or you have a flag that you own right next to one they have just captured and you have the ability to spawn there or quickly run back there, do it. You have no idea how helpful it is having players that are willing to stop the enemy from recapping a flag is. Maybe boring, you may miss out on that big firefight at the central flag that you were headed to, but you will be surprised how many more matches you'll win just by having a few players that are willing to fall back and defend flags instead of just capturing them. If you can hold them for a few minutes, that means your team has just earned points while the enemy didn't, and the enemy has wasted time while your time was well spent. Oh, and one more thing, flank. Now, as I said, most of the things we talked about for Rush can be used for Conquest and vice versa. So just take all that into account, and hopefully that gives you a tiny little bit of an advantage. But most importantly, go out there and have fun. Okay guys, so that's it for now. I'll be covering all this again in more detail. We'll go over each game mode when the game is released, and we will go over all of the general tips for gameplay. We'll go over weapons, we'll go over weapon recoil management and damage stats. But for now, that is it. I hope that helps you. If you did find it helpful, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more Battlefield content. Thank you so much for watching. I love your face. Peace.